Good evening. I'm going to call the December 14th meeting of the North Andover School Committee to order at 7:02. Let's stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to pause for 1 second to take care of a little feedback. Thank you. Public comment. None tonight. We have no recognition, so we will move on to consent items.
I'll move to approve the minutes as presented in the packet for November 30th, 2023.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Koenig?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Passes 3-0. Student report. Ben Abbott and Harper. Welcome. Good evening.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Ben. I'm a senior at the high school, for those who don't know me. The science team had their December meet. We competed at Revere High School. We competed in an engineering fish toss and in 2 study events on moons and on climate change and weather. The band concert is next Thursday. It's a holiday themed concert. Model UN, there's a lot of different drives and fundraisers going on at the high school right now, kind of in the holiday spirit and the holiday season. For example, Model UN is raising money by selling candy canes, and Harper has some of the other drives going on. There's a food drive ran by one of the Project 351 ambassadors at the high school. The DECA competition, where it was these past 2 days, so Wednesday and Thursday. It was the regional competition. I believe it was hosted at Merrimack College, so good luck to all of them. The math team had their competition last week. They beat Andover for the 2nd time ever, which is always good news. And holiday break is coming up. I know a lot of students have some tough tests coming up in these next couple days, but it's a welcome break from a tough first semester. Very good first semester.
The Environmental Club is doing a coat drive and has been doing that for the past couple weeks. Student Council is doing a toy drive called Operation Donation, where classes raise money for individual children and then buy gifts with the money they raised. Stucco Elves also started on Monday with students volunteering to clean teachers' classrooms this week for volunteering. The choir concert is tonight. And NHS has been doing a fundraiser to sell chocolate bars at lunch to raise money for them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Any questions, inquiries?
Yeah. Have a great holiday break.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful break. You're welcome to stay, but free to go. Fantastic. Moving on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Gilligan.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Tonight, I'm going to start with the CREST annual report. It is pretty lengthy, but I just wanted to draw your attention to a few key highlights. Kim Oliveira, she was the longtime executive director of CREST Collaborative, which is one of our special education collaboratives located in Methuen, Massachusetts. She left after 11 years, and she was replaced by Rob Jokola, who had previously served as superintendent of schools of Fitchburg. And so Rob's been there. He's been doing a great job so far. And really some of the key highlights here are that enrollment is up and therefore their revenue has increased. Revenue has increased 12% from the previous year. FY23 enrollment was up 36 students as compared to the year prior. And they do have a number of students still on a wait list. One of the things that collaboratives across the state are struggling with is staffing. Special education staffing is a challenge everywhere, and I heard the same thing when I was at my SEAM collaborative meeting last week in Stoneham. That was a highlight that I wanted to mention, and that they've used several grants to improve curriculum and services, provide more in-district support, and increase PD opportunities, not only for themselves but for member districts. So that's really a high-level overview. There's quite a bit to it. And usually this is the time of year I come with the annual report, and I'll come with SEAM probably next. And I would just ask Marcy, is there anything you'd like to add about the CREST Collaborative? This is Marcy Bacuzzi, Executive Director of Special Education.
Not necessarily anything to add. We do have quite a few students there. We have about 10 students who attend CREST programs over in Andover, early elementary through high school. They have also provided us with some in-district orientation and mobility assessments and vision assessments. So we access them quite a bit for various reasons, whether they be in-district services or for out-of-district placements.
Thanks, Marcy.
Yep.
And I'm glad you pointed that out. I said Methuen. CREST, and if anyone's ever interested, we could make a time and I could take you over there. It's they were in Methuen on 28. That's where most people remember them from.
Mm-hmm.
But then they moved over to West Methuen by the Irish Cottage over in that area. But they have now moved into Shattuck Road in Andover, and it's a gorgeous facility. It's absolutely awesome. So thanks you, Marcy, for mentioning Andover, because I am used to it being in Methuen. Secondly up, mock trial dates. So this is one of my favorite things. I think last year we heard a bit, we had the mock trial team in, but the dates are listed, and that's headed up by Danny Oberlander. Mr. Oberlander is our teacher. He also works with DECA, and also parent coach, attorney Kim Cooperstein does a great job. So they have mock trial dates coming up for us high schools. One's in Lawrence District Court, Salem District Court, and then back in Lawrence District Court. Last year they were in Lowell District. You can go sit in the audience, if you're there in the district court that day. It's awesome. And again, I still tell the story about last year at Lowell District Court, how an attorney walked in looking for his client, and he thought it was a real proceeding going on. That's how good they were. All right, so that's that. The nightly newsletter, Cindy Parent has transformed the nightly newsletter over the last 10 years from a one-page document started out 10 years ago to quite a production, and she's done a great job. But Greg Landry, the Human Resources Director, is taking over those reins, and so tomorrow the newsletter will go out. It's going to be in a new format, particularly mobile and phone-friendly. And we hope people get a chance to look at it, read it. There'll be a lot of information in there, some slight twists, but still the same content. So we're excited about that. Nightside Podcast, remember, check that out. We have Dr. Mealy and I will be on tomorrow. We're going to be talking about food insecurity in the Merrimack Valley and how that's a real issue. And oftentimes people don't realize what an issue it is. And, it's could be our neighbors, could be anyone who has a challenging time. And sometimes it just supplements the grocery shopping. But this is an issue that's really important to me. And the People's Pantry in North Andover has been doing this up at the church at the Old Center for a lot of years, decades actually, 40-something years. And they approached me along with executive director from Amesbury and Newport, who has really organized up there. They're building a $7 million facility. So we met with a bunch of our key players in the district and myself, and we just talked about ways that we could possibly, as a district, put our raised values to use, whether it's donations or volunteers. So I'm excited to do that tomorrow with Dr. Mealy. So check that out. And then last but not least, the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship is awarded every year to students who score in the top 20%, 25%, I believe it is, for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And what it does do is it gives the students a tuition credit to any state school, whether it's community college, state college, and although some folks may say it's not a lot, because it's, as we know in the state university system, the fees are really, it's like opposite, right? Tuition is like this, and you're like, wow, that's cheap, and then the fees are thousands. So, but every little bit helps in this environment with the cost of college. And so they had a award banquet last week, so I was excited to attend that and be able to sit with a great group of kids. So that's the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Gilligan. It's wonderful to see such a large list of students getting that scholarship. Thank you. Moving on to the chair's report. First, at NAMS, the musical Newsies just closed. They had a great run last weekend. Congratulations to Miss Liakos and her entire crew and cast for such a wonderful production. Saw lots of wonderful pictures, and my daughter loved going to watch it. And evidently, Principal Gonsalves played the Governor Teddy Roosevelt, and that's great.
You know what's funny about that is a lot of people didn't know that that was Mr. Gonsalves. So they got a real kick out of it once they found out that was the principal.
Next week, as previously mentioned, the NHS Winter Band Concert next Thursday night on the 21st in the Auditorium. The Winter Chorus Concert is happening tonight. Great news out of the high school and the art department. We had 4 students have the opportunity to participate in a juried student art show at UMass Lowell. Congratulations to Kate Marini, Maya Matsuranis, Caitlin Pacheco, and Hannah Petrowski. It closes tonight, and there's an award ceremony, so congrats to them. And lastly, we met last night with the Select Board and the Finance Committee to hear a presentation from the town manager for the upcoming financial forecast for the upcoming year. Thank you to the town manager and her staff for putting together a great presentation and informing us about how well we are doing. And that is the chair's report. Moving on to school building committee updates. Great things are happening at the middle school. They had laid the perimeter foundation previously, but this past Tuesday they poured the interior foundation of the addition. The slab had to get delayed because of inclement weather, but they prepped the area and they got that laid on Tuesday, and it is curing right now, and that is really exciting. If you drove by today, you would see a big crane is now on site because the steel work begins today with prep and moving things in, and the steel work I think is on the calendar for the next 40 days or so. So very soon we will start to see the walls start to go up, and that's really exciting to see an actual building being built. So great things happening at the middle school, and things are still on schedule. Mr. McDevitt or Dr. Mearley, do we have an update on Kittredge?
Yeah, there's really no update right now. I think, I mean, we're still kind of in waiting period.
It's interesting because the MSBA produces a template for you to use to put together your request for services document, and you use it, and then you send it to them, and they say, okay, we'll review it. And you're like, you gave it to us. So it's in their hands right now. We just put in, our information and sent it back, so we're just waiting for them, and then it will go out. They'll have a visit, a walkthrough for the design service vendors, and we'll get one going.
Fantastic. I feel like it's a lot of hurry up and wait.
Well, it's a very measured process, yes.
And for almost 50% reimbursement.
It's worth it.
Hurry up and we will
It's worth
wait.
waiting.
Thank you very much.
I do want to make one correction. Last night, I started saying how it does draw out the process, and I said, yeah, we won't start until FY29. I'm like, did I say start? We'll start for FY27, and the project should be done for FY29.
Yeah, when the town manager said, yeah, we just learned this on the call today, I'm like, obviously Jim didn't tell me yet. I thought that really it had changed briefly for a second. And I really had heart palpitations. So
There could have been a lot of paddles there last night.
Yes.
I saw Chief Ware and Chief Gray sitting there. So
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I appreciate the update. We have no old business, so we're going to move on to new business.
Yes, we have one field trip for you to consider tonight, and I'm going to also ask that you suspend the rules and vote tonight. This is the one from our robotics team. If you remember, they were here last week, and they showed us the amazing work that the team has done. And because of that, they're able to move on to a tournament in Connecticut in February. They'll be traveling together with Mr. Ahern, and Mr. Motherway will be coming back as a chaperone. And the students would like to be able to start fundraising for that trip. And we also, depending on how some other teams do, other teams may be able to also qualify for this field trip. It's in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I'm not sure if I said that.
And these are the Triple Crown champions.
These are the
Moving
Triple
on.
Crown.
And Ms. Lathrop, just to clarify, this is the one you gave us the heads up last meeting. That
Correct.
This was because of the timing of the competition compared to this. That's why it's a little
Correct.
bit later. Thank you.
Thank you.
It may be here, I may be missing it, I'm sorry. How will they travel?
They are
There
traveling
it is,
by
mode of
bus. I
Mode of
believe.
transportation, I'm sorry. I missed it.
Chartered bus, yep.
Okay.
Any other questions for Ms. Lathrop? So they're asking us to suspend the rules. The chair would entertain a motion to suspend the rules.
I move to suspend the rules for a second read and for a vote on a first read for the robotics program overnight trip approval.
Am I allowed to second?
You are allowed
I will
because,
I will
because-
second.
because of the number that we have, yes.
I will second. So vote to suspend the rules. Mr. McDevitt,
No.
Ms. Koenig?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, so it passes 2-1. So now we'll vote on the permission for the field trip itself. Oh, I need a motion for that.
I move to approve the robotics program overnight field trip to Bridgeport, Connecticut.
I will second. And vote, Mr. McDevitt,
Yes.
Ms. Koenig,
Yes.
and chair votes yes, passes 3-0. Moving on to information extracurricular activities subcommittee.
Yes, I shared this. I'm trying to look up here. I keep seeing Marcy. So I shared this earlier. The binder would be a lot of paper, so I thought it made sense. We can still produce a binder if you would like of hard copies of this, but we prefer to work this way. We've created a folder, and this has been provided to the school committee members. And if you click on each one, the idea here is the subcommittee's been working on trying to collect as much data as possible, comparable information, obviously illustrating what we're doing in district. And the idea tonight is to just introduce you guys to what we have so far and ask you guys, what else you would like to see as far as information, the timing. I want to get it out in front of you prior to budget season so that if anything comes up, you will have that data, that information. So what will if you just click on each one, so for instance, annual revenue, this is what we collect for different things like athletics. You can see since 2019 the amounts, and you can see what happened. This one's an interesting one because if you,
Could you just
yeah, I'm
enlarge
going to try to make
sorry.
it a little bigger.
Thank you.
There we go. So you can see COVID in this set of numbers, right? Because you have 2019 where things were normal, what was normal for us, where CP is community programs, they were at $1.8 million in revenue, and food services was at $882,000. And then 2021, you see where community programs only generated $590 as an impact of COVID, while Erica was delivering many, many meals and collecting the reimbursement for those meals. And so you can see that's continued. So it's flipped. Community programs used to have a lot of extra money. Now they're just kind of getting ahead from COVID, and Erica is kind of flush with money right now. So she's looking to do some things. She's done some things already that you've seen where she's installed outdoor freezers because there wasn't enough room at the schools and things like that. She's looking to improve our cafeterias. So she's using the money for the program. So that's revenue, and I won't go through them all, but as you click, there's a fundraising report from last year, all the fundraising that took place. You've seen the report before. It shows the activity, the amount, and what the purpose was. Again, if it's more information or if you want to see more within a document itself, add some columns or whatever it might be, we can do that. So
Can you go back to that one real quick?
Yep.
Sorry. I don't know if the tab's still open. So, I mean, just kind of looking at that as we get into budget season, I mean, I see a lot of things in terms of equipment. You know, particularly looking at the first two lines, right? I mean, we're talking probably $27,000 worth of equipment that's there. Can we get some breakdown on some of those? I mean, I understand, you know, when there's a banquet or, you know, if we're getting, senior night activities, I'm just kind of quickly looking over some of the things. You know, those are easier to understand. But $28,000, for example, for equipment, like.
So one of the things you can
Yeah.
do is you can bounce from, so for instance, you can go to this sheet, which is all funds and expenses from all funds. So you can see what we spent from the general fund,
Yeah.
right? What we spent from revolving, and then 157 from the consolidated accounts. That's for athletics. You can see art and drama, and you can see music, but then specifically to the consolidated accounts, you can also go here. Is that the one I want? Nope, I want this one. So the student activity accounts shows you the roll-up, but it also shows each activity, whether it be football, basketball, cheerleading, whatever it might be, in the specific activity that took place in each account. So you can see apparel order, jacket payments, lost key, that's a elevator key account. For the DECA program, reimbursed for ICE social, things like, so you can see the detail behind what all the money went to.
Okay. All right. If the detail's there, I'll, thank you.
Yep, so the idea is just to go through it, and if you have any questions, I did do an introduction to this, this is just a draft report, but basically it says that this is information that we've been gathering, if there's anything else that you'd like to see, but finances that shows the different forms of revenue generated for use and the expenses, some possible questions. This is really where I'd like you to focus, is to kind of generate your own questions or request for additional information. So far for finances, some of the things that have come up over the years, right? Can we eliminate user fees? Or how about a single fundraiser rather than the multiple fundraisers that happen? Could user fees be increased to eliminate fundraisers or ticket sales going the other way? So there's different options that are available to us. But that's what I'd like you to do, is just kind of look through it, and whatever questions it generates for you or other information you'd like to see, we'll put it in there, and then we'll have a final report for you.
And who's on this committee again?
So it's myself, Steve Nugent, and Pam Pachowski.
Do you have any representation from boosters or and AAA?
So we've been getting our information from them. I've met with them kind of separate from this. Steve Nugent and I met with the NAAA group to kind of discuss one thing I left out, but to discuss the kind of fields needs that exist around town and how we're going to make that happen. There is a section on capital needs which includes the fact that we put in for the track and we put in for the auditoriums. But also, when you look at it, did I just get rid of it? There's a 168-page report for the Fields Master Plan.
Yep.
That's included. It's linked as well.
Okay, you didn't print that?
That was the main reason I wasn't printing the whole thing.
No, just kidding. And we
Exactly.
heard last night, I forget what year it was, but the high school fields, I want to say 28, 29, for some study and design of what that is as well, so.
Yeah, so part of the conversation I had with them was the fact that there was a preliminary plan for the high school. So you have McAvoy is phase 1, and the money,
Yep.
the construction for that's supposed to be next year, with design of the high school, the whole high school project happening next year. The funds would be approved at this year's town meeting. And then phase 1 being the following year of the high school. But phase 1 doesn't have to be what the preliminary plan showed phase 1 being. We get to prioritize, with feedback from the different groups around town, which parts of the high school we want to address first.
Okay,
So
great.
that's it.
The one interesting thing at last night's meeting is when they were talking about that at first, a lot of people were thinking about the Rexplex.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We don't have any word on that yet.
No. Any other questions for Dr. Mealy? Thank you very much, sir. That brings us to public comment. Seeing none, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move that we adjourn at, I think I saw 7:30.
7:29.
7:29, sorry.
I will second.
Been moved and seconded. Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Koenig?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. We are adjourned at 7:29.